Hi, I'm Seth Grant with Sailrite, and in this video we're going to show you how to make a throw pillow using Outdura fabric, which is perfect for indoor and outdoor applications, and a garnetted pillow insert, which is a high quality outdoor and indoor pillow form. This pillow features corners that are reduced so that it looks nice and full, and then it's completely reversible, so you can use either side as the outside, and it has a nearly invisible zipper in the bottom.
In this first chapter, we're going to measure our pillow to determine its size and then show you how to use the fabric calculator if you have to make a lot of pillows.
So this pillow is an 18 by 18, but if you don't know the size of your pillow, you're going to want to measure across from seam to seam. So seam to the other seam, and you can see it's 18 inches. And then the other direction as well to make sure it's square. See, there's no seam here, but you can eye the middle, and it's 18 this way as well. So confirm it's an 18 by 18 inch pillow. So this pillow doesn't have piping, and we can actually make 3 pillows out of 1 yard of fabric.
If you're going to make a large amount of pillows and don't know how much fabric you'll need, head over to the Sailrite website and click on the Learn tab, then Fabric Calculator. Scroll down to Pillows, Throw Pillows, and enter your width and length measurement. In this case, we're going to use an 18 by 18 inch pillow, just like we have in the video. We'll enter 6 for the quantity, and we're using a 54-inch wide fabric. You can also select your pattern direction, whether it be horizontal or vertical. Hit the calculate button and you'll see that we need 72 inches or 2 yards of fabric. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a cut panel rendition. This tells you exactly what size to cut each piece. In this chapter, we'll be cutting our fabric plates to size.
We're going to cut 2 plates out of our fabric. This is an Outdura fabric that are 18 by 18 inches, so the exact size of the pillow. We're going to use the clear acrylic ruler, and I'm going to put it right up against the selvage edge to use as much fabric as possible. And my bottom edge is a cut edge, so it's not straight, so I'll make a new bottom edge down here. And I'm just going to strike up the fabric 18 inches, and then mark it at 18 here, and then mark here at the bottom. And if you had a patterned fabric, you would not be able to get have matching patterns, match your patterns and only and make 3 pillows. You'd only be able to make probably 2 pillows. So now I'm going to strike across 18 inches. So 18 inches is right there. And then up. And I'll just make 2 squares this way and cut them both out. And I'll show you when we're cutting them out. So one of the great things about using Outdura is its UV resistance, stain resistance, and it's great for indoor and outdoor applications. So you can use it for pretty much anything. So we're going to cut this out with a hot knife, and I would advise cutting it out with a hot knife, because if you don't, you're going to get a lot of unraveling, and that can make it a little more difficult to work with the material. This is the Sailrite Edge hot knife. It is the battery operated one. We sell a corded version as well. I like the battery operated a little better, and we are using the precision cutting foot, which is a foot you can buy, and I don't have a cutting glass. So this foot is awesome. You don't have to use a cutting glass. You can just cut right on top of your surface. And that's what she looks like right there. It's an awesome foot.
Next up, we'll be reducing the corners of our pillow.
So now we're going to trim the corners so that we don't have dog ears when our pillow is complete. And this is an 18-inch pillow, so we're going to take the total length of the pillow, it's 18 by 18, and we're going to divide 18 by 4, and we get 4.5. So we're going to cut 4.5 inches off of each corner. So to do this, we are going to line up a 1/2 inch both directions, so a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch this way. Put a little mark here. I want to make sure we can see it. And then we are going to go up the side of the fabric 4.5 inches so that it intersects with this line, and so that our edge is here and our 4.5 is here, and then we strike a line down. Do the same thing going this direction, 4.5 inches up. Right there, oops, right there. And we're going to do this at all 4 of the corners, and then we'll cut these off. So we have all the corners marked, and we're just going to cut these out with scissors, and we're cutting through both layers of fabric. So we only have the top layer marked. We're just going to trim off the fabric in both directions and do this on all 4 corners. And we are using scissors here. Scissors are just fine as well. Obviously, the fabric could fray, but it's not a problem. It'll be inside the pillow.
Up Next, we'll be sewing the zipper for our pillow.
So we have our 2 plates, and I am going to flip this one over so that outside surfaces are facing one another and match up this edge. And then I'm going to use clips and clip this together. You could use basting tape here, but the thing I don't like about it is as soon as I finish sewing this, I have to remove the basting tape between these layers so that I can splay out the seam allowances. So I'd rather not have to remove the basting tape, so I'm just going to use clips. So before we sew this, we're going to mark 2 inches up from the bottom edge on the side we're going to sew. And this is just an area that we're going to reinforce right here because we're going to end up cutting our stitches later. We'll do the same thing over here on this side. 2 inches up the side, mark there at the top. And now we're ready to sew. We've installed our left roping zipper foot, and we're going to use the magnetic sewing guide on a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And this is a 6mm stitch length and a V69 thread. Hold my trailers in place, and I'm going to sew. I'll do a little bit of reversing up here at the beginning. And then when I come up to this spot, right before I get to it, I'm going to do reversing here as well, because there will be stress on this area of the pillow. Now I'm just going to sew down, removing the clips as I go, making sure it stays at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then when I come to this one at the bottom, I'm going to sew past it and then reverse back to it. Then come to the end and do some reversing as well. This is our sewn edge, and I'm going to put basting tape down both sides of our seam allowance. Doesn't have to really be on close to either edge because we're just using this to hold it down while we put our zipper on. Flip it over. Same thing on this side. Baste it all down. Okay. And now I'll peel off the transfer paper one side at a time, and I'm going to fold it over on that stitch so that our seam allowance is splayed in opposite directions. So both sides are going to go down. I'll show you what it looks like in a second as soon as I finish this side. So now I'm going to open this up, put this end out, peel off the transfer paper, and we'll splay this side down in the exact same manner. And this is where our zipper is going to go. The wrinkling in the fabric is natural just because we cut the dog ears, so there's a little bit of shape to it. So we're going to take our clear acrylic ruler and we're going to mark up 2 inches from the outside edge, so right here. And that's because our reinforced stitches are right here. So we're going to do this on both ends, and that's going to be where our zipper starts and stops down the center. Okay. Now we'll take the zipper, and we're going to run the zipper from one end, one mark, to the other mark, and we're going to cut it off, cut it right there. We're going to split our zipper apart. I'm going to put my fingers on the teeth in the center, pull it apart, take my slider, and you notice the teeth are facing up. So this is the side where the zipper slider goes up. And we're going to feed it on so that it's even on both ends. Oops. And then we will pull it on as soon as I get it in the right position. It's a really small zipper. This is a number 2 zipper and slider, which is great for making pillows, but it is pretty small, so it can be a little hard to get this guy on there. There we go. Okay, slider's on. And now I'm going to run basting tape with the teeth up down both sides of the zipper, really close to this outside edge. It can even go over a little bit if you want. Okay, peel off the transfer paper. And I'm just going to peel it off on both sides. And I want to make sure that the puller is facing towards the front of the actual slider, so where the opening is. That way I can easily move it when I'm sewing. And I'm going to baste it down starting right here. And I'm not going to pay attention to my seam allowance. I'm actually going to lift this up and make sure that the teeth land directly in the center of where that stitch is, all the way across. So I'm just laying it down so they all land directly in the center. I need to flip this slider so that it's going the right direction. So I cut a little piece of scrap here, and I'm going to use it to reinforce the ends of the zipper. It's probably a little over 1 by 1. Make them about the same size. They don't have to be this big. They could actually be a lot smaller. And I'm going to take basting tape, apply it to the wrong side surface, fold it in half, more basting tape on top, and I'm going to baste it down so that the folded end is facing in towards the zipper, right on top of this end, and do the same thing to this end as well with this other piece. And again, we have the zipper foot in, so I am going to sew with the zipper teeth on the side that does not have a foot. So I'll position my fabric right up against that edge, starting about halfway in my reinforcement strip, and I have my needle in the center position, and I'm going to do some reversing here and start sewing around. I'm going to hold my trailing threads, and I'm going to sew here, doing some reversing here at the beginning. And then I'm going to sew down with the outside edge of this foot right up against those teeth. This is pretty easy, so just sew all the way down until I get to my zipper. Once I get close to my zipper, I will bury the needle. Okay. You can use a screwdriver or even a seam ripper just to open the zipper a little bit. And I'm going to push this slider up so I can get a hold of it. It's just a little tiny slider. So now I have it. I'm going to lift my foot. And then I'm going to push that slider back past the foot. And then I'll put my foot back down and sew down the rest of the way. And I am making sure that it lays flat, but this is pretty simple. Like, you shouldn't have any problems with it. Okay, I'm going to hold down this reinforcement piece here when I get close to the end, because it can get stuck under the foot. And so about halfway down it, foot's buried, coming up a little bit. Rotate the material around. Foot back down, and I'm going to do some reversing here because this is where the zipper stops. So this is almost like a zipper stop for us. But I don't want to go past the stitch on either side. So I don't want to go back past the stitch I already sewn, and I don't want to go past a ½ inch to the next one. So right there is about a ½ inch. Lift the foot again, turn. Now we're ready to sew down this side. So here's the slider again, and we're going to sew back to it. I'm going to once again have to move it past the foot. So bury the needle, coming up a little bit. I'll use my screwdriver or seam ripper to get the tab. Grab the tab, lift the foot, and just pull it right past. Okay? Lower the foot and keep sewing. And then at the end here, we're going to show you how we end it. So I'll push that down, and I'm going to sew up so that the stitch I'm even with this other stitch on the other side, because you will see this on the outside. So you can use a reverse lever if you need some to position it. Lift the foot, rotate the material, and this is where I'm going to do reversing for the end. But I'm not going to go past the stitches on either side. There we go. Now we flipped it over, so this is the outside surface, and I'm going to put my seam ripper right between those two stitches, cut a few stitches, and then put the ball of the seam ripper inside. And then I just carefully go all the way across and cut those stitches. There we go. Obviously I don't want to go up to where I've sewn. And then same thing this direction. I'm just cleaning up all the loose stitches. There's lots of, from cutting them, there's a lot of little guys in here, so I'm just pulling them off.
Next up, sewing around the perimeter of the pillow.
I have the outside surface facing up, and I'm going to run my basting tape all the way around the perimeter. You don't have to do this. You could just use clips or even just sew it, but this does make it super easy. So I'm just turning my corners. I'm not even cutting the basting tape. And I won't baste all the way around this piece. I'm actually just going to stop the basting tape here because I'm going to lay outside surfaces facing one another. We're going to peel off the transfer paper all the way around the perimeter. And then outside surfaces will face each other, so we'll fold this side over and we'll match up these outside edges. They could be a little off, so you might have to make some adjustments. But it looks like ours are perfect. So if you look there, everything is hitting exactly right. Check this side. Same thing here. Looks good. There's a little basting tape showing, but that won't matter. It'll be in the seam allowance. And we're ready to sew. So I'm going to use the magnetic sewing guide on the 1/2 inch mark on my needle plate. And then I'm going to sew. I'm going to splay these so that they're on the opposite sides. So this is our seam allowance. Just make sure they stay on opposite sides so it doesn't try to flip one way or the other. It'll look funny. And then I'm just going to sew around the perimeter with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm still in a 4mm stitch length. Do some reversing here at the beginning because there could be a little bit of stress on the outside, but most of it's going to fall in the internal stitch. And then I'm just going to sew around the perimeter. It's pretty easy. When I come to the corner, I'm going to stop a 1/2 inch short, shy of the corner. Use my reverse lever if I need to. Needles coming up, lift the foot, rotate the fabric, lower the foot, and continue to sew. Okay, we're coming up on the end here. I'm going to put these on either side, just like I did on the other side. Sew up to the end. Do some reversing here.
And finally, we'll be inserting our pillow form.
Our pillow is now complete, so now we just have to turn it right side out. So I'm pulling the zipper apart, and then I'll stick my hand in here. Got to use the slider since it's locking. And I will turn it right side out. All the way around the perimeter, and I'm going to push each corner out individually with my finger so that it's all the way out. And this can take a little bit of effort, but it's not too bad at all. So there we go. So here at Sailrite, we only sell garnetted pillows versus blown. A garnetted pillow is when they take the material and they layer it over and over again on top of itself so that when you push on it, it doesn't move the material either direction. Whereas if you have a blown pillow, if I were to push on this, the blown material, you could actually feel it moving left and right in all different directions. So these are a lot more comfortable and it's a much higher quality pillow. Okay, now we're gonna take off the sticker. Now it's time to stuff the pillow into the pillowcase. And I squeeze the corners together, and now I'm just gonna work it around in a circular motion. So I think it's easier if you just spin it and push over and over and over again until you get about half of it in, and then it's just pretty easy to just shove the corners in. Oops, there we go. And then I gotta work it all into all the corners. So once you're happy and you got all the corners looking good, it's all filled out, we'll just zip it up. So I'll just push the pillow down, put my finger on the inside so I don't catch any of the pillow form in the zipper. Zip it all the way across, put my tab down, and our pillow is complete. And it's completely reversible too.
And here's a look at our finished pillow on the boat. We'll also be using a very similar technique to sew up a pillow with piping, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified when new videos become available. For a list of the materials and tools used in this project, check the description below. From all of us here at Sailrite, I'm Seth Grant. Thanks for watching.